Hi, my name is Lucas. Just finished my 25th day here at the 3D clinic in Changsha, China. My doctor was Dr. Lee, who's a very knowledgeable doctor, and it was just a great overall experience. China was really awesome, and it was just a great experience being here. So my story is I suffered with prostatitis for probably two and a half years. It started out, just epididymitis in my right testicle, and about a year after that, I actually noticed symptoms of my prostate, being enlarged, and that's when I kind of really got worried. And then also just kind of radiating pain all the way up my right side, almost all the way to my liver, which no doctor in the US could ever explain what was going on. And I was totally healthy before all of this, so it was just kind of my last resort to come here to China and get treated. It's the only clinic in the world that I could find that could give me at least some solid answers about this. So basically, when you get here, Belinda, she picks you up from the airport. She's really great, great translator, answers all your questions. So, the next day you go to, we came to see Dr. Song for our initial exam, and within 5 minutes of talking to him, I knew that I was in the right place. The doctors back in the US, they told me this pain in my side was completely unrelated, and now I know that that's not true. That pain in my side actually subsided after 2 weeks of the treatment, so really happy about that. I'm really grateful that I made the decision to come out here. So yeah, like I said, on the first day we came to see Dr. Song for our initial exam, and then we went down to the hospital in Changsha where we got our ultrasound tests and our blood tests. They check everything, your liver, kidney health. They check for 20 different viruses. Never encountered a place in the US that does that. So I think it's, just really good to get a holistic picture of your health before you start the treatment. Back in the US, I'd just come in, hey, my prostate is acting up, and they'll just hand you drugs. And, finally they came to the conclusion that I didn't even have a bacterial infection. And after the first day here, I knew that was complete BS. So after the hospital, they took me back to Dr. Lee's office, and he did a prostate massage, got the fluid out, and put it under the microscope right away, and my sample was completely filled with white blood cells. And I asked, what does that mean? And he's like, that's a pretty bad infection that you have going on down there. And, so it was just good. First day I got some really solid answers. Dr. Lee and Dr. Song really reinforced, my huge decision to come out here. So I was really grateful for that. And so the second day, you come back to the clinic and you get your culture results back. So you can see the actual bacteria growing in the petri dish, which is pretty cool. And and then the Professor Cha, the microbiologist, he comes in and does a sensitivity testing on the bacteria, finds out which drugs are going to work, and then your treatment starts, immediately after that. So I think it was the second day we actually ended up getting shots, and it's not easy. I'll say that it's pretty painful at first because your prostate is really hardened and already in a bad state. So when that needle goes in, it's you're clenching the bed a little bit, and it's nothing that you can't handle. It's just you got to kind of breathe, deep breaths, and kind of push through the pain. But after the third or fourth week, that I was here, it wasn't a problem at all. Felt a lot better, and when he does the massages, you can actually tell how much your prostate has improved because it's a lot softer when he pushes on it. So just the way that they test the drugs, you know what they're putting in you works because you see it in the petri dish, the bacteria being killed off. And then they also test for fungus, and then you get, on the third day you'll get your results for the viruses and anything else that could be, causing a problem with you. And so I actually had quite a bit of stuff wrong with me. I had, chlamydia infection, and then the two bacteria was like streptococcus and then staphylococcus. Whatever, I don't know how to pronounce it, but so I had those in my prostate, and then I had two different active virus infections. I had pneumonia, mycoplasma, throat. So my lungs were really bad when I came here, and my throat was completely swollen up, and a lot of that is taken care of by the IV medicine that they gave me. I had to do 15 days of IV, and that's the easiest part. You just sit on the bed with your tablet and go through the IV. So that lasted for 15 days. My shots were 25 days total, and you really start to feel a lot better after the second week. Your prostate will be sore, I can tell you that, because they'll do a prostate massage to get the fluid out, and then you'll have shots right after that. So those days are a little harder than the others, but it's nothing that you can't handle. I would just say if you've been through the ring around with the doctors in the US or the UK or Australia and you're not getting answers or you're not getting a cure, and you're sure it's a problem with your prostate, book your plane tickets now and get over here as fast as you can, because I had it for 2 years. I wish I would have came a year earlier, but I know that it's a big decision to make, and it is a leap of faith, but you have to have trust in what they're saying on the website, and just make the logical decision on what you think. I tried the oral antibiotics route. It did not work. I took several rounds of antibiotics. One of them was for about 6 weeks. I was on strong antibiotics and no change whatsoever. So I'm just really grateful to be here. We have a huge group of people. There's about 7 of us, all hanging out in Chain Shop. We go out to eat every night. There's a guy from Michigan here. There's a guy from Arizona, and then another one from Colorado. My girlfriend came out here with me, and then there's another guy from Australia as well, who's also a nurse. So he has all kinds of crazy stories that he sees in the industry and stuff, and it's just kind of sad listening to the way that these patients suffer. I mean, there is a fix out there, and it's here in China. You just gotta take the leap of faith and have trust in Dr. Song and his team, because they are really good. So I'll leave it at that. Just hope you guys can make the logical decision like I did. It's a big leap of faith, but I know you guys can do it. If you're having a prostate or epididymitis or any kind of urogenital issue, get out here and get fixed up. All right, thanks. Go Patriots.